What's up, everyone? This is Jessie, your host for the Clapback Culture, and I'm with my co-host, my boy, Mr. Mike Davis with the South Seattle Emerald. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up? How y'all doing? And as you can see, we're in the studio, first time, making a little history.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I think people probably knew like we had met in person and all of that, but you guys, me and Mike we've never met in person. We've only met over Zoom and over the phone and FaceTime and stuff. So it's dope to finally meet you. Hey, Mike, nice to meet you.
Yes.
You guys, I thought he was going to be real short. So it was funny to meet him. And I was like, oh, you're like 6 feet tall.
Yes, I have no idea, but when you only see somebody from the chest up, it's kind of hard.
Right, exactly. So we met each other today, so that was good. But we have a great show in store for you guys today. We have a lot to cover. I mean, the news has not stopped. So it's like a decision on what are we going to talk about. So today we're going to talk about Biden's plan and everything that came out with that, the $1.9 trillion rollout plan for the coronavirus, which includes those stimmies that we talked about earlier today. So we're going to get into that. We're also going to touch base on some of the investigation that the FBI is going into on these arrests for these terrorists, these domestic terrorists that came and stormed the Capitol. So we're going to touch base on that. And there's a couple other things, it's a full show tonight. So we're going to do that. And of course, we can't leave out the impeachment. That's all over the news. We got to talk about what's happening with that. What's the good, what's the bad, and what's the ugly, right?
Yes. I'm excited for tonight. Let's jump right in.
All right. So first thing at the top of the hour, let's go ahead and roll out. What is Joe Biden talking about with this new bill? What's up?
Shep, his central argument is that the health crisis is deeply connected to the economic crisis, and that's why half of the package, roughly $1 trillion, goes toward direct relief for workers and families. Another round of stimulus checks is topping the list, this time for $1,400, bringing the total amount between the last package and this one to the $2,000 that Democrats had promised. He also wants to tackle unemployment insurance, increasing the federal boost in jobless benefits from $300 to $400 a week, allowing workers to collect payments for longer, and expanding who can qualify. There's $30 billion in rental assistance and an extension of the moratorium on evictions and foreclosures. Now, just about all of these ideas do have some Republican support, and many of them build upon the package that Congress passed just a few weeks ago. But one of the more controversial proposals that Biden is going to call for tonight is to raise the minimum wage by $15 an hour. Now, Democrats had set this goal many years ago, but Biden is now framing this as a way to help frontline workers, especially since a disproportionate number of them, 40%, are people of color. Biden's phrase is, let's not just praise them, let's pay them. Now, all of this stands a pretty good chance of passing the House, where Democrats do hold the majority, but Biden would still have to win over Republicans in the Senate if he wants to pass this bill through regular order. Tonight, he plans to make his case to both sides of the aisle by underscoring the urgency of getting more help to American families now.
Let's not just praise them, let's pay them, period. I'm definitely excited about the increase of minimum wage. I mean, to make anything under $15 is just absolutely unreal. And so we really need to have that be, the standard. I mean, how can you live at $14 and under? I mean, in any metropolitan city around the country. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm really excited that he rolled out the extension on the moratorium. I mean, that's super important. I was worried about how people were going to come back and pay their bills and rent and mortgages and things like that. So it's good. I mean, a lot of good things rolled out. And of course, that $1,400 stimulus, Mike.
Yeah. Originally, I thought that the new stimmy was really going to be the focal point of what we talked about. But when I hear the $15 federal minimum wage, I think that that's something that's really needed, especially during these times when we have all of our frontline workers. We got people in grocery stores, people that still are in restaurants, people that really have to deal with people every day. Pay those people, make it a little easier. People struggling to pay their rent. People really, really needed that stimmy to hit. So to have minimum wage raised right now, that's really going to do a lot for the community. So I'm excited.
It is. It is.
You know how I feel about Joe Biden. Like, I don't even have to get into all of that, but I really do think that this is a really good start. He also said that within the first 100 days, he wants to get 50 million people vaccinated. There's like 416 billion to go towards that. And another really important piece of that is that he's going to roll out an actual plan to help states. You know, Trump started the vaccine rollout, but when individual states didn't have a plan, a lot of those vaccines were just sitting there. So there's a lot of good stuff that's happening. He's getting off to a good start. I sure hope that he could keep it going.
You hope he keeps the momentum.
I really do.
I mean, this pandemic is also tied to our economy. And what they're saying is that we can't do anything until we defeat COVID. And so with the first 100 days rolling out, I thought it was 100 million vaccines within the first 100 days. So if we can see that happen, and I know we talk a lot about vaccines. In fact, I did a post on Facebook about, I just wanted to get a sense of what people thought about taking the vaccine. I know we talked about that a little bit, but if we can really mitigate the issue of coronavirus, I think we'll see such a huge influx in our economy, and it'll really start taking us out of this hole. But again, people were on the fence. It was like truly divided 50-50 on whether or not people are going to get the vaccine or not. So even though he has this plan for rollout, the question is, are people going to get it?
I think that is the question, but at least now it will be available. I think before, whether or not people wanted to get it, the vaccine wasn't there to be had. Mm-hmm. So now that we're going to have a distribution plan, I think that's really going to change the game for the people who are interested. And I don't have my notes in front of me like I would if I was at home, but I believe that there is 100 million vaccines, but he's setting his target at 50 million people vaccinated in the first 100 days. So hopefully it can happen. If anybody out there is looking to get vaccinated, please do so people like me can be safe. We appreciate y'all and we need y'all. But I'm gonna need a little more research still, but I'm just happy that our government is actually shifting and they're actually gonna do things to help people. They're gonna extend that moratorium with the rent.
I hope your mama is watching the show tonight, Mike Davis, because you want other people to get vaccinated so you can be safe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen.
You guys heard it here. You heard it here. Out of the mouth of babes.
They don't have my trust just yet.
Okay.
But we're getting there. You know, I feel like we're in a place right now where we can make a transition. Mm-hmm. As you know, I voted for the first time. So, you know, I've taken that step. You know, these is baby steps. These is baby steps, but we're in a good place.
Oh, Lord have mercy, Jesus.
It's about time we got some good news. I mean, when I'm looking through the show sheet and what we got today, like, this is the good news. So please enjoy this segment.
True. Well, one thing I can say is there's 18 million people that are still out on unemployment. And so they're talking about continuing to increase that amount. I think putting it from $300 a week to $400 a week. And kind of what I tie into that in terms of the vaccine is, do you think more people will go back to work with a vaccine? And I think about a lot of those people being frontline workers, a lot of people, working in food service, working in hospitality, and, really having a lot of interaction with people. And so are you going to go back to work, if you're able to get that vaccine? And so I think it would take a lot of people out of unemployment, get the economy back going, getting people back to work. But, the jury is still out on that. I mean, we know Mike Davis isn't getting it anytime soon.
I'm not, but I really do think that it's a good plan. He's making it so that people won't get evicted. He's trying to make it so that the vaccine is available to people. And he's trying to make it so that the people who actually have to go to work will be paid a living wage. So when you put all of those things together, I do imagine that a lot of people who may not have been, felt safe to go to work, they might feel safe to go to work now. Yeah. Or, I mean, look, I know in Seattle, we're already at $15 for our minimum wage. But if you go to Kent, it's not $15. Mm. You go to Renton, it's not $15.
Right.
None of the surrounding cities. So there's a lot of people that are affected everywhere. So having that $15 minimum, that's going to be big for a lot of people.
That's true. I mean, it needs to be big, right? I mean, we're talking about, really curing poverty. And one thing that was also mentioned is that, it's really a battle of the have and have nots right now. We see a clear divide in America right now where people are either the haves or the have nots. And so you're either thriving in this economy right now or you're struggling. And there's not a lot of middle ground for people. So we'll see. I mean, again, everything is kind of still in waiting in the wings, as they say.
Absolutely. Now, I'm not going to forget about those student loan debts, Joe Biden. I remember that. And the original number was a lot higher than the number that I'm seeing now. Somehow it seems to have shrank all the way down to 10,000. So we can't let Joe off on that one. We're going to need to get that back up.
I want to know drop your comments down below in the comment section. Do you have student loan debt? And if so, how much student loan debt do you have? And how much do you think Joe Biden needs to forgive? Because I got a little 24,000 ready for him right now. I got Joe, what's up? Kamala, what's up? I know you got that Howard student loan debt, sis. Come on.
For real. I'm in a similar boat. When he was talking 50K, it was looking like it was motivating. Move it. Yeah, I was done. I wasn't going to owe anybody.
Oh, that's why you voted. Okay.
See, you know, got to reap the benefits.
Listen, I mean, we got to take advantage of this economic crisis right now.
Absolutely.
And I think that's how everyone kind of feels like, I need my 2,000. But we are going to owe this money. This is not free money, Mike. We're gonna have to pay this money, but not us, the American people. Right. But I mean, as taxpayers, we'll pay it back. True. I mean, but it's not gonna like technically come out of like, your pocket right now. You're not gonna pay back your stimulus check, but down the line, you're gonna have to pay this back, y'all. So the more money we get, the more money we're ultimately gonna have to infuse back into the economy.
We'll worry about the future in the future. For right now, let's get these stimmies. I'm ready. I still ain't got my 600, so what's good? But also, what I will say, though, is, Joe Biden is really big on trying to unify and trying to bring people together. This is how you bring people together. Mm-hmm. You don't bring people together by trying to side with the Republicans or play nice with the white supremacists. You bring people together by creating policies that will change people's lives. For the people living in middle America who are out here working for dollars and cents, you start giving them $15 an hour. That's how you bring them to your side. This is how you do it. And that's why it excites me, because this is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for words. I'm not looking for empty gestures. I'm looking for things that actually help people. And everything that we're seeing, if it comes through as planned, this is actually going to help people. And that's the best way to bring us together.
That's very true. Well, I think that brings us up into our next topic. Let's go ahead and talk about the FBI investigates some of the stuff that happened on the Capitol. I think when we talk about, people on the front lines, Capitol Police, the ones who were not a part of this whole situation, were on the front lines. I mean, and you think about just all of the people who work at the U.S. Capitol, to custodians, to just anyone who's in there, and your life feels like it's in jeopardy when something like that happens. So let's figure out what the FBI has going on, what they're investigating, who's being arrested, who's not being arrested, and how we move forward.
Tonight, FBI Director Chris Wray also has a message for those who stormed the Capitol building. We know who you are. More than 100 arrests have been made, twice as many suspects identified. CBS's Jeff Begays has more on what we're learning about those rioters.
This video shows the terrifying moments when the violent mob got its hands on a Capitol police officer. He is on the ground, being dragged deeper into the punches and kicks of his attackers. The FBI says Peter Stager beat the officer with a flagpole holding America's stars and stripes. The officer survived, but Stager, who has been charged with civil disorder, bragged about his actions.
Everybody in there is a treasonous traitor. Death is the remedy.
Fueled by QAnon conspiracy theories, their support for President Trump, or hate for the government, the attackers' actions led to 5 deaths.
And it was kind of a hodgepodge of movements and ideas that came together. I think that's a sort of a classically American form of extremism.
Today, this man carrying a Confederate flag through the Capitol was arrested. as was Robert Sanford, a retired Pennsylvania firefighter who was caught on camera throwing a fire extinguisher that, according to investigators, appears to strike one officer who was wearing a helmet in the head, then ricochets and strikes two more officers in the head. The FBI continues to investigate whether there was coordination among the extremists, examining video like this, which shows a militia marching up the steps in military-style vests and helmets. Also under investigation, whether there was help for the attackers from sympathizers in the Capitol. More than 30 members of Congress believe there may have been after witnessing an extremely high number of outside groups getting tours of the Capitol complex the day before. Overall, the investigation is moving quickly. 2 Virginia police officers have been arrested. Also allegedly involved in the insurrection, a Houston police officer who is now resigned. Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo.
I'm relieved in that the arrests are actually taking place, and this will work as a deterrent to others.
There were white supremacists in that mob that attacked the Capitol. The Washington Post is reporting that some of them were listed in the National Terrorist Screening Database because they were flagged as posing a security risk.
Jeff Pegues, thank you.
So we're talking about over 100 people arrested since this. I mean, I know I was kind of feeling like, are people really going to be getting arrested, and are they going to be held accountable? And I think right now this is absolutely a deterrent for more insurrection and more kind of chaos surrounding the upcoming inauguration and things like that. Mike, what's your thoughts?
It's about damn time. It's different also looking at the coverage and looking at those images and, police getting beat down with American flags. But, in a piece that I have in the Emerald that's going to drop tomorrow, I kind of talked about the conversations that I was having with my daughter as everything was unfolded. And I remember specifically her watching and asking, are the police going to hurt those people? Because on those original images that we saw, it was more police walking hand in hand. And, that's what the media was feeding us. So I'm glad that now they're showing how violent it actually got. The people that were always on the side of the police and the blue lives actually violently clashing with the police. I mean, this is what it is. And this is what America needs to see, because I think that this was a lot more serious than some people will give credit to.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a lot more. This was pretty sophisticated if you think about it.
Yes,
it was very sophisticated. I mean, in order to go into the U.S. Capitol, and I've been there once, when you first walk up into the steps, I mean, you're going through a huge screening process. I mean, your bags, everything are going through the X-ray machine, you have to show photo ID. You're going through a scanner as you walk in. You're signing in, you get your stuff back, and then you're kind of, able to go in, but you still don't have unlimited access to just go anywhere. So this was a sophisticated attack. And as you hear from the report, it notes that some of these individuals actually went to the Capitol the day before and had a tour. And so you think about the level of coordination and planning and things like this that it took to kind of really execute something like this. And so while I do believe that Donald Trump incited this riot, I also feel as though this was a very well coordinated and planned opportunity. And I don't think it was just kind of a spur of the moment. It wasn't reactionary. People were way too equipped, way too prepared. As we saw in the clip, you guys, I mean, we even had people dressed in full military garb, kind of walking in as if they had some type of practice round. So it's scary to think about that. And it's scary to think about, what's going to happen on January the 20th. I know that the atmosphere and kind of the vibe that's going on in the district is that people are kind of, waiting with bated breath to say, what is going to happen. But the security is intense. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser, she has really put in a huge call to action. They have already started setting up the perimeter as of Tuesday. They've blocked off dozens and dozens of streets. They've even called for cars in specific parking garages to be either you have to move your car by Friday at 6 a.m. And if you don't, it's going to have to sit there until after the inauguration. So there's a huge plan. I mean, and boots are on the ground this time. I mean, The National Guard is already there, so there's no need for deployment. The Capitol Police are there on the ground. I mean, literally, you see them visually there. I don't think anyone's going to be bold enough to jump out there. But I mean, hey, what do you guys think? Drop it down in the comments.
And I hope not. And I feel like I should clarify, when I say not taking it seriously, I meant more so that they tried to paint the picture that this was more random than it really was. And just like you said, it was really coordinated. There were probably some people there who were not affiliated, but when you see armed militia and they got their formation, arms on the shoulders, snaking through the crowd, they coordinated that. This was targeted. So I think what jumps out at me too is the fact that the FBI had a lot of these people's names on a target list.
I know.
And somehow they were still able to make it to the Capitol. I mean, how many people have to fly into DC on your target list, same day, same time, same flight, to not be flagged? That's crazy to me.
Did you catch some of the videos on social media of people getting caught on the no-fly list?
Yes.
I mean, they are throwing major tantrums, you guys. Like, oh my God, I'm not a terrorist. It's like, you are a terrorist. You just ran up in the Capitol and was wreaking havoc. And then you think you just get to fly home. I mean, I even saw a clip where a mom was with her kids. And I'm like, man, you took your kids all the way down to DC to blow up the spot. And so now you have 4 kids with you and you're being detained at the airport. And a standby, a bystander is like, what are you going to do with the kids? And the police officer is like, chill. This is not the first time or the last time we have arrested somebody with kids. So go ahead and fall back. And he's a black officer. And he's like, we know what we're doing. And I was like, okay, you know what you're doing, huh? So social media has really been really celebrating people being held accountable for this, because we know, kind of the slogan that's been talked about is like, if this were Black people, if this were Black Lives Matter, this, and kind of ... thereafter, insert, anything here. Right. It's really good to see people being held accountable.
The accountability piece is so big, because I mean, just the nerve of some of these people. I mean, you have people showing up in their work clothes for this. They got the one guy from the Olympics. Bruh. He was down there in the jacket that you only get for participating in the Olympics.
People wearing their badges, their work badges, Mike.
Like,
you gonna blow up the spot with your South Seattle Emerald stuff on?
Never, ever. I'll protect the Emerald. But seriously though, that's the nerve. Like, they're so bold. This country is theirs, and they are the quote unquote patriots. So they felt that it was their right to go storm this building the way that they did, to the point that people didn't even think to put on a jacket over that work shirt. It's crazy.
Why? I don't have to pretend that this is not happening. I mean, when you roll into the U.S. Capitol as a protester, and you turn into a terrorist, and you come in full work uniform, your work badge, your name tag, your name on your hat, your name right here, no mask, full face, that is your white privilege, right? And one thing that we're seeing in terms of just these arrests is like that white privilege credit card is being declined. You know what I'm saying? And so this is the rollback. This is what it feels like not to have that type of privilege. And I'm really grateful that we are also, in addition to having people being held accountable and being arrested and charged, is that we actually get to see it as well. And it's not being something that is kind of quietly happening behind doors. So
absolutely. And I have a question. So you mentioned the social media piece and how people are feeling on social media, but how do you feel about, I guess maybe Trump's social media ban, but even outside of that, just the idea that now Parler's being taken down, or I don't know how many conservatives you follow. I tend to follow a lot. A lot of them are really upset right now because they're losing followers by the tens of thousands as accounts are being purged. What's your take on that? How do you feel about that?
Well, that's interesting, because I think I am kind of on the fence about it. While I do feel that Donald Trump's social media should be suspended right now, I don't ultimately feel like it should be banned. And I also don't feel that a lot of these accounts that they're suspending, Mike, should be banned and should be taken off. And here's why. Sometimes, and y'all know me, I keep my ear to the streets, but with the feds, they're listening either way. Well, these cell phones that we got, these computers that we got, walking around with all these, cameras and stuff, we are always being watched. We're always being listened. And so what's happening now is that when you start taking people off these huge platforms, whether it be Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or any of those channels, and they start going to these, people are now going to these other social media channels that are more encrypted, like Telegram. And so now these conversations are still being had, but they're not being able to be surveillanced. And so my issue is, if the conversations are still going to be had, how are we tracking and managing these? Back in the day when me and the Big O were living in East Africa, we were working on social media mentions, and there was a product, a software rather, that we would use to track social mentions. And so you could create your own word map, your own word cloud to see what the chatter was online. And so you can track, and I know we talked about this on Writer's Block earlier this week, was about storm the Capitol had been mentioned over 100,000 times on social media. And so now I beg the question, what happens when you take those individuals off of that platform and you're no longer able to track and monitor the conversation, but then the conversation is being had on a different platform? So, it doesn't solve the issue, right? We just lose the intel. And so I think it's more beneficial in some ways to be able to listen in on those conversations and then be able to figure out what to do with it thereafter. But I still understand how, it's very dangerous to also allow someone like Donald Trump to continue to have a huge platform to be able to talk to millions and billions of people and be able to just kind of say what he freely wants to say and incite riots. And so I'm on the fence. Honestly, I'm on the fence. It's a dangerous kind of situation we're in.
I agree. And I like that you mentioned again that software that can track hashtags and phrases, because I thought it was extremely interesting that, Storm the Capitol was out there 100,000 times, and yet they were still able to storm the Capitol. What are you doing with the software that you have to track this? I don't even think that they should have admitted it, because it makes yourself look really bad. But on Trump's ban, look, we see people get banned for less. I think Twitter's private. They ban people all the time. But I think that as a politician, specifically as our president, I do believe that our president should be held to a higher standard than just a citizen. So you want to pull him for inciting all of this. I understand that. But pulling the individual accounts, I personally don't agree with at all. I don't think that helps, because the people saying those things, they still feel like that. They're still going to organize. I think it goes to what you said about the intel. It's better to have those intel. And look, we have to be able to talk with people that we don't agree with.
Absolutely.
I think that's really, really important. And some of the conservatives that I know, they always point to how often do you see people on the left getting banned for the rhetoric of the left. And off the top of my head, I honestly can't think of anyone who has got banned on social media for being too liberal. So I do understand that argument. But if we're talking about the president specifically, he had to go. He had to go. It was too dangerous. When it gets to the point of storming the Capitol.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing about it, but you're right, Mike. That's absolutely true.
But the little homies could have stayed. They could have kept chirping. That would have been fine. But so it was a tough decision.
But we talked about this before. Like, when you give people a platform, there's a lot of slow growth in that. And social media is a place with just trolls after trolls after trolls after trolls. So what do you guys think down below? You kind of talked about this, but think about if we blocked people from our show. We let you guys go ham in the comments, and there's a lot of things you agree and disagree with us.
Y'all be getting out of pocket sometimes.
Mike be getting out of pocket too, y'all.
True. And look, don't ban me. That's what I'm saying too. Like, I shouldn't be banned.
We might have to ban you.
People should be allowed to speak. I said one inflammatory thing.
Listen.
People have to be able to talk. We have to have dialogue. We got to be able to get these takes off our chest. I think people should be allowed to speak. I mean,
but people go so crazy on social media. It's like you go on social media and you just feel like you're just kind of throwing up on the page. People are not even self-censoring themselves anymore. They're just talking,
Well, how about this though? All of these companies are private companies.
True.
So shouldn't it be up to the company themselves to decide who can and can't have a platform?
Well, yes and no. It is being ultimately decided by the people running the companies, but Twitter had a lot of people pushing at them to say, yo, cut him off, cut off Donald Trump. And I think they got so much pressure that I think what we're seeing is that we the people on social media have a lot of political capital. We have a lot of capital really in everything.
Is it we the people or is it the people on the left? Because there's a lot of people that will argue the opposite, man. Trump gets retweeted a hell of a lot. I mean, he has a lot of followers. He has a lot of support. There's a lot of people that really, really love his rhetoric. What about
Dora
those
is
people?
telling you something. Dora is saying,
no.
hey, Dora, I'm in Seattle, sis.
Oh, well, thank you, Dora.
Dora is saying that they do censor people on the left very often. And it's both. And I think it's not a left or right issue. I think it's just an issue of individuals who have an opinion on any subject matter, look at Black Twitter.
Yeah, I agree.
We are super opinionated on Black Twitter. There is no filter. It's all jokes. It's all games. Some of it is like, you need to, there's a lot of stuff that I see on social media that I'm like, y'all need to chill. But
I guess for me, when these bans happen, it worries me because I don't want to live in a country where people are getting silenced. Yeah. Because there are countries where people can be silenced. And I don't want to trend in that direction. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe that speech might get you beat down, but I do think that you should be allowed to say it. And I don't want to get to a place, especially right now, because everything
the audience
that
doesn't want to
unfolded,
ban you.
Look,
We won't ban Mike. Not today.
We're seeing everything that unfolded over the summer and this new consciousness of white folks and all of this. And this is where we're trending. This is what's popular. This is what's socially acceptable. Well, what if it flips? I don't want it to flip and then people on my side start to get silenced.
Do you think we should ban hate speech?
Do I think we should ban hate speech? I think that's a tough one because what we call hate speech continues to expand. I think we can ban hate speech. We just have to get really, really clear and solid definitions of what's okay and what's not okay. And I think that opens a new can of worms because I believe a comedian should be able to say whatever they want to say if it's funny. And I hate the idea of us censoring comedians, us censoring entertainers, censor politicians. What Trump says matters in a way that what Dave Chappelle says does not matter. Dave Chappelle is popular. Trump leads our nation. And I feel like because of social media and our whole country being a popularity contest, we hold celebrities up on this pedestal when a lot of them don't even know what the hell they're talking about anyway. So
I feel like that is a part of the responsibility, the social responsibility to be a celebrity. Like you have these millions and millions and millions of people that come to your platform to follow you, and you have a social responsibility to maintain that platform, right? I agree. I don't think you need to censor yourself, but to some degree, there has to be some self-monitoring. You can't be Beyonce, right? Who has like a couple billion followers on social media and then advertise flat tummy tea to people and make it seem like that's really going to work.
Well, that's fraud. So I understand. No, you should not hop out there and be fraudulent. I think more so what I'm saying is that, I don't think that we should continue to look at entertainers to be our moral authorities. I don't think that we should take, and I pick on Dave Chappelle because I mean, he's hot. People pick on him. You know, he's said some inflammatory things in his last couple stand-ups, but I don't look at him as a moral authority. I look at him as an entertainer. Well, the same way that white, I can't even remember the white guy's name that says the N-word in his sets. I just don't watch his sets. But he's a comedian. So if that's what he's going to do, that's what he's going to do. It's not for me, so I don't have to. But that is so different to me than a politician, somebody that actually has the responsibility to serve the people. Those are the people that I think we should hold to the highest moral standards. And sometimes it feels like we flip that upside down.
I think it gets confusing. Our Mama Walden is on. Hey, Mama. She said the hate speech was used as ancestors was being lynched, and that's absolutely true. Yes. And can we show Leon's? Oh, good. Leon, hey Leon. He says we need to ban speech that incites violence, but it's hard to define for sure. I agree with you, Leon. It's absolutely hard to define. I agree. I mean, I think all of us are kind of teetering on how we feel because there's really no hard way to outline what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And I think that the definition continues to expand. I think that we are in such a challenging time right now. We're in such a weird time to see the sitting president of the United States of America incite a riot on the U.S. Capitol. And it's something that we have never seen in our time, and hopefully never to see again. But it's difficult for me to also say his platform should be revoked. Well, maybe not his, but I think if we are to do that to a U.S. president, it just makes it so much easier for somebody to block somebody like me or somebody like Mike, you know? So
Sue Fox took a shot at me. I seen that, Sue.
Carol, it's not growing. It was always there. Social media just gave us the opportunity to see how widespread and alive it is.
She's absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Because we're learning and we're growing and it's expanding and our consciousness is expanding. And social media gives so much voice to people who at one time had no voice. So now we're learning about the things like new people or what may offend you or all of these different communities that have always existed and maybe been overlooked. So I understand that. And that's the reason why I say it's hard to define, because as we learn and as we grow, there's always going to be so much more.
I think that's what makes this show so good, is because we can have a conversation with our audience, and you know, social media opens up that door for a conversation, to be reminded of things that we wouldn't necessarily know. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Sue Fox says she likes your perspective too, Mike. So good. At least you have one. You have one fan today, Mike. Do you guys like my perspective?
She just said she likes your perspective.
Oh, she does. Sue, thank you, Sue. I like your good balanced perspective. Thank you, Sue. So look, y'all, I like that we're on this topic of holding people accountable. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Trump impeachment, and that's holding him accountable. So we'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, the Big O. Want to take a moment here, first of all, to say thank you for your support of Converge Media. We definitely wouldn't be here without you. Secondly, I want to thank everybody who is a supporter of Converge Media on Patreon. We definitely appreciate your support. And for those of you might not know, I'll let you know, we operate 100% off of donations. Some donations big, most donations small, but we love all donations all the same. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to go on our website to whereweconverge.com/donate and subscribe. You click on the Patreon link and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month. There's higher tiers beyond that as well. And just know that your subscription literally keeps us on the air. Once again, want to thank you for all your support.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Clapback Culture. This is Jules Jessie, and I'm with my co-host, Mr. Mike Davis with the South Seattle Emerald. So now, next topic we're going to talk about, you guys, is the Trump impeachment and what comes next, because that's a lot. So this is the second time Donald Trump was impeached. I mean, How do you
history.
go in 4 years being impeached twice? I mean, not
history.
put out of office yet,
True.
but golly, you are literally leaving the worst legacy. I mean, you are going down in history as the worst president ever. I don't think anyone's going to be able to make it this bad. What are your thoughts on this impeachment, Mike?
Yeah, he had a dumpster fire over 4 years. But what I will say is we have a clip. I'm ready to jump in, but can we roll that clip first?
For more on what's next, we turn to our Capitol Hill correspondent, Casey Hunt. And Casey, the president releasing that conciliatory statement was no accident. He knows he has 100 jurors in the United States Senate now watching his every move. How much do you think these next few days, his final days in office, dictate whether Republicans stick with him or not?
I think it could mean everything, Savannah. And that's part of why Mitch McConnell saying he's open to conviction is so important, because it puts the president on notice. If he incites more violence, if he doesn't toe the line, try to calm the nation down, he stands a very real chance of being convicted of inciting insurrection and then ultimately being barred from ever holding federal office again, Savannah.
Well, when we put up the senators and you look at it, and there's 50 Republican senators, they'd have to pick off 17 Republican senators. And when you start going individually, who's up for election, what states are they from? That is a very high number to reach. Realistically, is there a chance of conviction in the Senate?
It is a very high bar, Savannah. Again, I think it really depends on how the next 6 days go. It also depends on what Mitch McConnell decides to do. If he decides to vote to convict, it's very likely he could take more of these senators with him. I also think you're going to see continued debate here about what happened on Wednesday. We could learn more about the attack. And remember, Kevin McCarthy did, in fact, say the president bears some responsibility. He's, of course, the leader of House Republicans, someone who has previously been a staunch defender of Republicans. And while Liz Cheney, who voted to impeach the president, has faced some backlash from the most pro-Trump members in the House, she's also gotten some defense from others who say that voting her conscience was most important here. This issue is still so incredibly emotional. Walking into the Capitol, seeing National Guards members asleep on the floor, that's what's confronting these senators every day. And it may have an impact as we go forward here, Savannah.
People, please understand. These Republicans have no conscience. There's no way they're going to get those 17 votes. And please understand, Democrats don't have a conscience either. They just are politically positioned to pretend like they have a conscience, so they play accordingly. There's no way he's going to get indicted. He will be a free man. He will get that pension on your tax dollars. So just brace yourself. Know that.
Well, I'm here with Mike Davis. He's arrived again, you guys, in full color. Listen, it's a hard pull, right? We have 17 senators, Republican senators that need that vote, that will have to give that vote. And one thing that I think we're not really thinking about is these people are their vote is going to be on record. And so whether they vote yes or vote no to go forward with this impeachment, it's still gonna be held on the record. And so when they come back to be reelected, I think that record in and of itself is gonna come back to haunt them. So
Trump got 75 million votes. They will go and they will vote to not indict him. And many of them will be reelected. Some of them might not be. I mean, we've seen what happened in Georgia. Anything is possible. But look, people, the American public, we have no memory. And I'm going to tell you how you know we have no memory. Joe Biden is about to be our president, and he ran on the platform of I'm the least racist guy. There is no memories around here. So those Republican senators will go make those votes. They are not going to indict Trump, and he's going to live happily ever after, unless they can bring charges after he leaves office. That's a possibility. But please know, y'all, he's going to use that pension to fight those charges and probably pay off some of these debts that we're seeing that he's in. Man, he's a gangster.
He is a gangster. And you know what? He's going to need that pension because a lot of these corporations and stuff have pulled money from him. And even like a lot of his businesses, his hotel business and stuff, a lot of his companies are going to be scrutinized and under fire. And I have a good feeling the IRS is going to be seeing what's up with them this year with those tax returns. So you guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments. We want to get some feedback on this. Number one, will he be impeached? And number two, is it important to be impeached? I mean, he's already impeached, convicted. Is it important for him to be convicted? Do you feel like he will be convicted? And, you know, this is all going to happen within the first 100 days. So it's going to be, I mean, it's a heavy lift. We got coronavirus, we have a spiraling economy, and then we have a formally seated president being convicted of really like terrorism, I think is the artitle. So
crazy.
Welcome to 2021.
Started this off with a bang.
It's a bang, bang. You know, what is happening? Leon, it's all politics. Nobody's taking the insurrection at face value. It's all politics. I don't know, Leon. I think this is the time where we're actually seeing people being held accountable. So it's a big argument. I was talking to my brother about just the whole impeachment, and he was walking me through his memory of when Bill Clinton was impeached. So Bill Clinton was actually impeached, but he was not convicted and put out of office. And so we were kind of just having a conversation about that. And I was like, man, I was like a kid when all that happened. This is not the same level of impeachment. This is like way more high level. This is not the Monica Lewinsky, I'm kicking it with a 21-year-old intern. This is like, I am causing domestic terrorism because I'm throwing a huge tantrum that I didn't become president again. Impeachment, conviction. So we got the indictment.
His actions are bigger than Bill Clinton's. He deserves to be removed way more than Bill Clinton. I just don't see it happening. He made it through these 4 years. I mean, story after story, like everything that popped up, this guy survived everything. He's like a zombie politician. Like they can't keep this guy down. And it's just, I don't know. I just would say, don't get your hopes up. I think that there are other methods to bring this guy down. I just don't think that like the conviction from the Senate
is going to happen.
I just don't think so.
I don't think it's going to happen. I honestly, in my heart of hearts, do not think it's going to happen. I kind of, you know, earlier this week, I felt like this whole thing was a waste of time. But I think one thing that I've learned from a lot of other journalists who are speaking on the topic and corresponders and just a lot of chatter on social media, you know, you guys in the comments, it's still important to at least attempt to hold people accountable. And if our elected officials have the authority to show up and, you know, and charge and make this conviction happen, it's important for us to understand what side of the aisle our elected officials are at, right? And so that's why I said these lawmakers will be held accountable for their vote. I mean, this is, it's not just going to go away. And I don't think we should ever allow anyone to be the leader of domestic terrorism, because that's what it is, and not be able to hold them accountable to some point. So I am looking forward to seeing Donald Trump on trial. I want to see what he's going to say. I mean, it's going to be a zoo, and I'm going to be sitting there with my popcorn and my chips and a glass of red wine. And I'm gonna be watching. I'm
right there with you. And to be honest, I was looking forward to seeing Rudy. I wanted to see
he turned on him.
Exactly. We don't even get Rudy now.
You know, I heard that Rudy Giuliani was charging him like $20,000 a day. I don't think that's true. Giuliani said that's not true, but $20,000 for trying to find the vote somewhere, that's a lot of bread.
I'm gonna be honest with you. $20K to be Trump's lawyer,
but
he's underpaid. he's vastly underpaid. I mean, the man is a crook left and right, all upside down, sideways, man. Being his lawyer has to be one of the hardest jobs in America.
Absolutely. You know what's sad about the whole saga that is Rudy Giuliani is he really did clean up New York. You know, he was the one who got all of those like crazy like sex stores and everything, you know, out of the cities, like all of that, like kind of promotion. You know, he came in like after, you know, the whole mafia scene and things like that. So it's really sad to see his legacy being dumbed down and diminished with his decision to be in association with Donald Trump. Question for you though, do you think that people who are like former staffers and anyone that is you know, kind of tied to the Trump administration, do you think they're going to have a hard time with employment? Do you think they're going to be able to put that down on their resume? Like, what happens to the people who were working for Donald Trump? Like, it's not a cool thing to be on the Donald team anymore. I mean, Donald Trump used to be like, cool, you liked him, and not so much anymore. Now it's like, oh, you're with them? Okay, it's a clear divide. What do you think is gonna?
It's shifted, and I think that's why we see so many people right now quitting their jobs, because it really has. It's taken a turn. So I do think it will be difficult. Man, that would suck to work for the president and not be able to put it on your resume. I think the last job I had not on my resume was Nike Town, but I mean. Yo, that's a major job to not be able to list. But I do think that there will be some jobs, man. There's still going to be, like, the conservatives are here. Like, they're still here. They never really went anywhere. And I don't think that they're going anywhere. And with Biden as president, I don't even think that it's his goal to get those people up out of there. I think his goal was really to try to bring those people in and work with them. So it might be a little difficult, but I ultimately do believe that they'll be okay. I don't know about Rudy. Hopefully he was stacking that 20K, but I think other people will be okay.
Okay, well, good. I think a couple of our followers tonight believe the same thing. So I honestly, I hope that, you know, these staffers and things like that don't have issues. I do think some of the cabinet officials may have issues moving forward, but, you know, some people are going to have a hard time. Like there's going to be some people that have a hard time disassociating them with the monster that is Donald Trump. Carol, yep, the tell-all books will be in overdrive. Oh, yeah. Ooh, I didn't even think about that. Neither. Ooh, it's going to get so spicy.
They're going to get paid. If they didn't have NDAs, it's going to get so spicy. They will be paid.
Man, and then, okay, you remember Omarosa, she came out real early and was talking about that, and she got so much backlash when she did a tell-all book, and now everything she was talking about is right here in front of you. So you guys owe Omarosa an apology.
I mean, you know, too soon. She jumped ship too soon.
Shoot, no, she didn't. You jumped right on time, sis. And I'm not even mad that she joined the Trump administration. She's a cold piece.
Ooh.
Omarosa is a cold piece. Y'all go check her resume. I believe, in fact, this is not even her first time in the White House. So Omarosa is a cold piece. I'm not promoting her book, but I think a lot of things that she said in the book, she was being honest. She was being honest, and you see all of that is coming to the light. So we'll see. Thank you, Carol. You're right. Them tell-all books are going to come out. And are you guys going to buy them? Are you going to read them? Are you going to pull them up on your Kindle?
I will.
I want the tea.
You know how entertaining it's going to be to know how these behind the scenes conversations go. We have reports of times where like they were doing updates on the coronavirus and Trump was just showing up late.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? He's hopping on the press conference and he didn't even take the briefing.
He never wore his mask.
Yeah, like those type of stories are going to be hilarious once all of this is over and we can move on. Like, I can't wait for that. Shoot the movie. It'll be a comedy.
So I know we talked about this a little bit, and we talked a couple weeks ago about Trump getting his pardoning himself. Is he able to pardon himself now that he's impeached? Well, he's impeached and not convicted. Do you think he's still going to jump out there and try to pardon himself in these next couple of days? Because if not, what then lies in the balance for your boy?
I think he will try. Not my boy. Hey, listen, I have no horse in this race. You know, I'm just a citizen. Like, I just live here. But I think that, see, you throw off my whole train of thought. Don't call him my boy. People believe that stuff.
No, I won't. Okay, that's not his guy. Hold on. There's always going to be some Wolf on Wall Street-esque movies coming out ASAP. Chandler, you're right. it's gonna be tell-all books. It's gonna be movies. It's gonna be docu-pics. It's gonna be. I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump himself came out with a tell-all now that he'll be essentially a regular citizen.
I have a question for you. So,
Okay.
do you think that once he's actually out of office, he's been impeached twice, let's just say that the Senate does not convict him, do you think that he will ever actually face criminal charges? And if he does, can you see a scenario in which a former president actually goes to prison?
Do I think he will be charged? Yes. Do I think he will be convicted? Perhaps. But you're right, because I mean, we're talking about someone who was formerly a president and what happens when you have that type of political power.
I have another question for you.
Okay.
Because I know, you got your political background and you know more than I do on these things. So let's say he is charged and it goes to court and, they go through the whole process and it gets to the Supreme Court. Is it going to be his folks that he just put there that get to decide his fate? Is that how that works?
I mean, he loaded the Supreme Court up. So Donald Trump, I mean, that is good chances. But at the same time, if that were the case, then he probably would have found them votes because, I mean, those went up to the Supreme Court and they said no. So, I mean, there's still so much to talk about, Mike. I mean, we'll never get through all of this, but this has been a good show. I like this in studio. We got good lighting, good audio. You guys see me fumble with my camera and stuff and my audio and stuff be off, but Converge hooked us up and we're here. So yeah, great show, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, huge shout out to Converge. Thanks for having us. We got to do this more often. I know you have to go back to DC, but man, I'm feeling comfortable in here. I might have to be back.
No. And then I'll just be with my little camera in the city. But that's all right, because I'm going to be in the city, covering everything for you guys in real time. I got to let you guys know what's going down at the Capitol because it's not going to stop. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to be in studio with you today, Mike. Make sure you guys use your stimulus checks to donate to Converge at whereweconverge.com/donate. Use some of that stimmy money. We need, keep us on air. Keep us doing what we love to do.
Yeah, slide that. Every donation goes a long way. We like being here with y'all. So please, please, please support if you can. We know you got that 1,400 coming. So think about us too. But for real, man, thanks for rocking with us tonight. This has been a good one.
Yeah. So I'm Jules. You guys can find me at Treasure of JULES on Instagram and on Twitter. Make sure to go follow me and go follow at Clapback Culture on Instagram as well.
Yes. You can find me at Real M Davis. You can also find me at the South Seattle Emerald. We are everywhere. Look us up. We got good stories for y'all.
Thanks for watching, guys. We love you.
Peace.